If you clicked on this video, it's because you want to improve at chess and you are in luck because there is only one big problem we have to fix to skyrocket your elo. The one big issue is that it is that you have been listening to the wrong chess teachers. But you have me now, so I will show you this whole game, give you as much practical tips as possible because I'm quite annoyed with how other chess teachers teach you things because they always just tell you some things that sound smart but are actually quite vague, then proceed to play 15 top engine moves, telling you that you can just do the same thing if you play better, and at the end of the video you didn't actually learn too much. So I will try to make this very, very practical, very easy for you to digest. Like he's attacking the knight, let's just defend it so I don't have to take with the pawn to damage my structure. And castle. So I will do an opening analysis. So now I'm not really talking too much, but I will show you a lot of valuable things that other teachers keep from you. In the previous video, I showed you how important it is to and memorize your openings and understand your openings. All other chess teachers will tell you that memorizing openings is a waste of time, and then they just play some 15 top engine moves back to back to back without thinking, telling you that they just understand the opening so well, but obviously they just have it memorized. Don't believe in those fairy tales. They did hard work to memorize their openings. That's why their openings are so good. And they tell you not to memorize it and gatekeep how important that is. I don't do that. I'm making a course for you so that I can help you a lot with learning your openings. So my opening went quite well. My opponent went for the exchange variation with bishop to b5 check. This line is not too long in my course because it's quite easy. Play bishop to d7. The best move is just to go back, which is quite weird, but we will just develop like normal. And we will probably just transpose because if you do this and this, then move your bishop back and we move the bishop to the square that we would go to as well, we will probably just transpose. So the only line you have to know is take with the queen. After he develops the knight, we can develop the knight. It's quite important to develop the knight after this knight comes out because otherwise you will get hit with knight to e5, which is quite annoying. And after castles and e7, preparing to develop all of our pieces, um, it's quite hard for him to make a move. This bishop is quite useless here. I guess he could play his bishop out like this, but I mean, then we can attack it or just ignore it and go for the pawn. Let's say he plays something like c3. We will develop the bishop so that he cannot develop the bishop to e4. After something like rook to e1 just trying to develop, we will break this pin and try to develop. If the bishop comes out, we just don't care and develop the bishop. If the knight comes out, we can just castle, and the line basically stops here because this is a very, very standard position. Just start a minority attack, as you know from all of the other lines, like take, take, and a knight coming out. Develop the knight, he will develop the bishop, we develop the bishop, kingside castle, knight out, and we get into this position. So like I said, if he puts the bishop here, we put our bishop to d7, and then he goes back, we'll probably transpose to something like this after we also get our knight to g4. After we get pinned, we can just unpin, he develops, we castle, and we just get into a very fine position. If a bishop lands on d3, and he does have the threat of queen to c2, followed by take, take, and bishop takes on h7, you have this weird looking idea of bishop to h5, because this spin will probably go away after queen to c2, but now we can play our bishop to g6, and after take and take, we have a very solid structure around our king. His knight cannot do anything. We control both knights quite well. We can allow the knight to jump to one of these because you're not really threatening anything. And the queen is just shut out. So after some improving move like rook to e2, rook to c8, trying to, if this knight moves, we can take this pawn and you cannot take back because the queen is hanging. He can only play a random waiting move or an improving move like a3. And then we can start our minority attack, as I already told you. And after he starts attacking us, we can continue our minority attack. He has to try and stop it with a piece, but it is already too late. After take and take, take and take, he has to go for this solid structure to not lose this pawn. And after queen to d6, defending, pressuring, and just activating our queen, after take, we take this pawn. And you have this discovery attack on the queen. So if he takes, we have a free queen, and he will probably take back free pawn. And in this position, we are up a queen for a piece and a rook. And we already have a passed pawn, so we are completely winning. And I always hammer on two things. One is that you should memorize your openings and understand your openings. That's why I'm showing you this deep sample line, not for you to memorize, but for you to understand the plans of the exchange variation. Memorize the first few moves. It depends on your level, how much. And other than that, just know the plans. And you know the plans because of sample lines. And I had to dig very, very deep into databases and engine lines to have all of these sample lines for you. So now that you know a bit of the opening, you know the middle game plan, and you get to this structure where you're winning, my second biggest debate comes in. The difference between a winning position and a win condition. And I really hope that after that explanation, you think I'm worth your subscription. The difference between a winning position and a win condition is something like this. After, let's say, knight takes, we have a piece and a rook for a queen, and the pawns are equal, but his structure is damaged. So I would say this is +4. Engine says it's +3.2. So this is +3.2. I mean minus. It's positive for us. How do you proceed? And that's where the concept of a win condition comes in. You only have two win conditions in the game of chess, and it is either a checkmating attack, because the only way a game of chess ends is with a checkmate, or it is by promotion and then going for checkmates. You can only promote a pawn when it is a passed pawn. So you only have two win conditions. It is either a checkmating attack or a passed pawn. So our opponent has a losing position, but has a win condition, the passed pawns. So white should really try and push these pawns and attack our king, because that's the only way he wins this game. We should stop his plan and then push our passed pawn. Which one has the priority? Well, obviously, you would say if I win the game, he cannot win the game, so let's push. But then he starts to push, and you can get into chaotic positions. I would argue the engine will sometimes disagree, but I would argue that you should first stop his counterplay, win these two weak pawns by, for example, takes. Rook will have to move. You can just go back or attack this pawn, blockade it with your rook, attack it with the queen. And if this pawn is blockaded, you want this pawn, keep this pawn blockaded and start pushing your pawn. You should never go into chaotic positions when you are winning. Chaos is the only way for the losing side to win. So if you're winning, don't go for the chaos, stabilize his counterplay. This is not going anywhere ever because you have a very strong chain. So stop his counterplay, trade to a very easy endgame, and then start pushing your pawns. That's how I would proceed. So I gave you the opening, another opening, sample lines, middle game plans, all of the IDs, what to memorize and what not to memorize, my take on openings, and how to convert easily the difference between a winning position and a win condition. So I really think and hope that you think I am worth the subscription. If I am, you know the button. If you're not convinced, let's go back to the rest of the video. So we get to this position. If that in the previous video, right? So I learned you that. Then my opponent blundered a piece in like 5 moves because I just know my opening so well. I showed you how to convert a position up a piece for, I think it was 1 or 2 pawns. I think that was very valuable. And then I showed you some techniques to convert endgames up a lot of material. And I again think that was very, very helpful. If you think I earned your subscription, subscribe. If you don't want to miss out on these tips, subscribe. And if you're not convinced yet, just watch the video and I will show you if I'm worth your subscription. So here I can just attack a bishop while making a luft. So I make a move that improves my position, and he will have to make a move that does not improve his position. So basically, I get a free move that just makes my position better. Um, and now we have a very, very equal position. We have the same material, but the pawn structure is a little bit different, and that's it. So what I will try to do here is show you why this is so important. And again, it all comes down to I understand and have memorized my openings. Again, even this position. Why is it important in this position? Because I studied my openings to the extent that I know that this pawn structure is called a Carlsbad structure, and his pawn chain is pointing towards my king, which means that he has to attack my king. Things like knight going to e5, this knight going here, then his knight trying to zigzag in, maybe even pushing the pawn, getting the queen close. All of those moves make a lot of sense for my opponent. Um, yeah, I didn't actually think about this knight jumping in. That was quite messy of me, to be honest. Yeah, so I practically wasted the move with my queen. But I mean, I'm talking. So my opponent has to attack me on the king side. I don't know how well my opponent understands his opening, so maybe he won't do it. Something like a4 doesn't really indicate to me that he understands his opening very well. So I will probably just make a pawn break, have an isolated pawn, push my isolated pawn, and after something like takes and takes, he will have a passed pawn, but it is an isolated pawn, and the isolated pawn on d4. I will first try to win his b pawn because that is a passed pawn, which means that he has a win condition, and the win condition is a way to win the game, and you always have to stop that as fast as possible. This move indicates to me that my opponent understands what he has to do, which is annoying, obviously. Um, so I will probably have to be quick about this as well. Take, get my knight here. If he takes me, I will get the open file, which is fantastic. If he takes, I might take with the pawn and then fight to win the b pawn. If I win the b pawn, the c pawn will be weak. I will fight against the c pawn. If I win the c pawn, the d pawn will be weak. Then I will try to win the d pawn, and if I win some pawns, I will have protected passed pawns, which will win me the game. That's making a long-term plan. But to make a long-term plan, you have to understand your openings very, very well. And that's why I always plead to memorize the beginning. And in my course, I have very, very long sample lines, not for you to memorize, but for you to understand your opening and the plans of your opening. If you know anything about the Korokon, we are both fighting for the center, then we develop the pieces, and we will get attacked on the king side. If we stop his attack on the king side and he doesn't have a threat, we have some tempos to start a queen side minority attack. We do that to create a weakness, and then we will exploit that weakness to make a passed pawn. First go up a pawn and then make our extra pawn a passed pawn. So after takes and takes, our knight will probably jump to c4. After we land on c4, maybe we will take one of his knights and push for b4. And after we achieve b4, he will have a weakness for sure. And then we will attack the weakness to the extent that we hopefully win it. And if he doesn't, and if he takes our b4 pawn, we traded off our weakness and we created a weak b4 pawn, a weak b2 pawn, and a weak d4 pawn. We will be down a pawn, probably, but it doesn't matter at all. So my opponent talked rather long about this, but I think this just attacks the bishop, and that's very good for us. And he probably thought that this opens up the pin and attacks the pawn, but if I attack your queen, you don't have the time to take. So I think he just lets me trade off my knight for his rather strong bishop. I think I'm not blundering anything. You will have to move the queen. I can just take the bishop. You will have to take back. And then I could even have something like bishop to g5, attacking the queen and attacking the knight. And I don't even see how he defends the knight. So I think he actually blundered a piece, um, which is very advanced tactically. I have to say, if you don't see it, I don't sue you. So my opponent thought this is a pin, which means that this pawn is not attacked, but I can jump my knight, attack the queen. A queen is worth more than a pawn, so he doesn't have the time to take it. After he has to move the queen, I can take the bishop. Now this threat is gone because the bishop is gone. And now you see a undefended knight and a queen align on the same diagonal, which means that we can do this, attacking the queen and attacking the knight. But again, we have to think a bit further. His knight and queen align on the f7 pawn. So if I do this, you can take this with a check. I will have to move, and then you can save your knight. So he actually didn't blunder, but it's very, very close. Um, can I try to defend that? So if I do this, setting the tactic up, he does have a move to stop me. So I would much rather have something else. What if I take? If you take with your rook, there is an undefended rook here, so I can move this, attack the rook, but then my knight is hanging. So you take the knight, I can skewer your queen to your knight. You have to move the queen. I will take a knight, but I sack the knight, and this isn't even forced. You can take this with a check. So that doesn't work, sadly enough. So I will first try to tunnel vision on the tactic, and if I see it actually does not work, I will stop tunnel visioning and just play something else. I could do this, which weakens my king a lot, but does prepare the tactic. So does this improve my position to the extent that it's worth it? So I do this, you have to fix the tactic by, for example, moving the knight. Is that improvement to my position? I don't think so. So here is another big lesson. You can play hope chess and do this praying that he doesn't see this tactic, but that's bad. You can also tunnel vision, defend this, waste the move on your queen, setting up a tactic, and then he just stops your whole plan and you did all of that for absolutely nothing. Or you can just make a normal move and improve your position. So I think I want to kick the knight. The knight will have to go, but this blocks my bishop, so that doesn't work. I could defend the pawn to set it up, but that also does not work, we already saw. If I pin the knight to your queen, and then I strengthen my grip everywhere, my queen is defended, so there are no tactics. So if I do this, you take, I move. You probably have check, and I just lose a piece and lose the game, and maybe even get checkmated. So that's again tunnel vision. I will not do that. So I think I will just move this. Uh, check all forwards moves, by the way. Check all the captures. Everything is fine. So I think I will just move the bishop to block this attack and to put pressure on this diagonal. After that, I could move the queen, defending this and pinning this so that I set up the tactic, and then it will work. But I will not tunnel vision, and I will not pray that he doesn't see it if I blunder anything. So never blunder anything in the hope that he doesn't see it. That is horrible. If you want to be a Luncree Chess subscriber, you should never do that. By the way, I also should have looked at this sacrifice of take. Now my bishop is pinned. Can you put pressure on the bishop? And the thing is, I don't think so. So now again, he moved the knight, which means that the pressure is gone. So we have to re-watch this. I attack the queen, I attack the knight. You cannot move the queen while defending the knight. You will have to move the queen. You do have check though, but I can just take it with the bishop. I defend that with the bishop. So probably he's setting something up like take, and take, trying to sacrifice because he sees that his position is a bit worse. But I have this defending the pawn, attacking the queen, and this knight is still undefended. You will have to move the queen, but you cannot do that while attacking while defending the knight. So he moved his knight out of the center and immediately blundered. And that is not coincidence. Usually, if you move a knight out of the center, it's a bad move. Your knight should be in the center, controlling the center, or close to your enemy's territory. You really want your knights to be like around here and like this. They really should be in this square, preferably in the center towards your opponent's side. So my knight is not the best, but I will just get into the center again. So probably like this, unless there is a tactic here. Like he moves the queen, I take. Let's say he could, by the way, move the queen while defending the knight. Like let's say he could move like there. I could take, he takes, and then I have this fork, which is also very funny, but I mean, I just have a free knight. He moved the knight out of the center, instantly blundered, and that is a positional thing that I messed up a lot as well. So I will go up a piece, and my opponent now has to think about, can I stop it? But I don't think so. You have to move the queen. And the one very nice thing is that if I take this knight, I first of all attack a rook. Second of all, I still defend this, so you cannot sacrifice. He will probably go here. Um, and I think I will jump in, maybe here, to attack a rook while defending the bishop, because I would much prefer go to c4 defending the bishop, but then I get hit with b3. So if you jump in defending a piece, you will always have to watch for, can that piece be attacked? So jumping to c4 looks like a better move than jumping to b3 to defend the bishop. But the one issue is that if I jump here, he can attack the knight, and I don't see how I save my bishop and save my knight if he moved the rook to attack the bishop. So I have to think if I want to do that or not. My opponent has to think how he will find counterplay. So now I will show you how I practically convert positions. The first rule I really want to show you is to, first of all, not panic. It's very easy to just take the rook or not take the rook because you're scared of this. First of all, we will think, do we have to be scared of that move? First of all, I can just attack the knight. The knight will have to move and then take the rook. Second of all, I can just take this rook. He can take this with the queen. I will have to move. But then he has check. I have to move. This is a royal fork, so I have to go to g8. Then he has queen check until I go to h8. So queen takes, king h8, knight to g6. I have to go to h7. Is that worth taking the rook in a already completely winning position? I don't think so. So I can just do this, by the way, offering a queen trade. If you take, I will take with an attack on the knight. So the knight will have to move and your rook is still hanging. Which is fantastic. And if you deny the queen trade, I can still just take the rook. I can also just try to defend, by the way. If I defend like this, you can save the rook. Then I have to move this bishop. Yeah, I think I will just ask for a queen trade. And by the way, I do allow infiltration on d7, which I also have to calculate. If I do this, you go to d7, I just take, and take. I don't care. So after this, here, take, knight moves in. I take a rook, you take a pawn with a check. I move up, attacking the knight, which will have to move with a check. I can attack it again. You can move again with a check. I can attack the knight again. And then you will probably have to move while defending some stuff from my rook. So I think I will just ask for a queen trade. If you deny it, I have a rook. If you don't deny it, I traded queens while up a piece, potentially going up the exchange as well. And if you're up a piece and then go up the exchange, you just have a free rook. After take, the knight is always defended, but I have to look for tactics where he can lure the rook away from the defense of the knight, so that take lands us in a undefended knight which is attacked. We do have to watch for that. So yeah, I don't know what he does. I think he has to trade queens to weaken my king. But I don't see how you save your knight and save your rook. Probably you will have to save the rook. Then I can just take the knight, you take my bishop, I take a pawn, you have to take back, and I will be up a piece, traded everything off, and have a very dominant pawn structure. Yeah, wait, so I can take this, you're forced to take back, and then I can save my bishop. So I will trade queens for sure. That is not the issue. I could sack my bishop for 2 pawns to get a pawn majority on the queen side, which is, I would give back some advantage, but I would have a clear plan. But I trust in my conversion skills, so I don't think I need that. After take and take, now I have this plan as well. To again damage your structure, I can now jump my knight in the center with a threat. Probably you have to take and take, push this, and I will just be able to, I don't know, go back, attack your weak pawns, make this pawn break if you let me. And I'm up a piece. but I don't actually have a way to still win the game. So other teachers will just tell you, I made it sure you are up a piece. Oh, I will also show you how to actually convert this. You convert this by making a passed pawn. So, I mean, obviously for my opponent, it's very annoying to play. So after this, probably my bishop just goes back controlling everything. And my opponent doesn't really have much counterplay except trying to make a passed pawn here. So I would advise something like this to start pushing some pawns. The one annoying thing is that I can just blockade everything. You cannot, by the way, you can, but it's risky that I can take. And if you take this as hanging, and yeah, it's very difficult for my opponent to make a move. Let's say he tries to go to some weaknesses. I guess I can just make this pawn break, I believe. And I think my opponent has to take and take, and now my opponent has a passed pawn. So in this position, I would advise my opponent to try and get some pieces a bit more movable. Let's say I just go back and I really want to win this pawn. That is my greatest thing. Win these two pawns, and then he doesn't have the counterplay of the B pawn, and I have the win condition of the D pawn. A win condition, by the way, is a way to win the game. It is either by checkmating your opponent or pushing a passed pawn. Those are the only two win conditions. And if you have never heard that term before, it is because I invented it to help you, because I think that a lot of teachers just gatekeep so much valuable information from you. So here I have a very clear plan of attacking this pawn, then attacking that pawn. And it's very difficult for my opponent to even make a move. Let's say you just try to attack my knight. Um, yeah, that is. I could attack your rook, I believe. You have to move it, which is quite risky because now this knight is pinned. I can probably just attack the pawn now, and I already think that it's undefendable because I control this, and the knight cannot defend this. And by the way, I pinned your rook, and I will attack the knight, so you have to be very, very careful. I think you have to go back to defend this, lose the pawn. Now, this is not pinned anymore because the rook is defended, but the knight is attacked. So you have to move the knight. I will probably be able to just. Oh, by the way, this is a fork. Yeah. Let's say that doesn't exist because, I mean, yeah. So let's say take and take. I could just move back so that you don't have this counterplay and use my pieces to win this pawn very slowly because I have a lot of time. Um, you probably have to defend the pawn. I can attack it while attacking the rook. You defend the pawn. I can just slowly build the pressure up. You cannot do anything. Let's say you bring the king. I attack it. You bring the king. And I attack the knight. So you cannot defend it like this. You have to move it. And in this position, I just win the pawn. You move again. And yeah, that's about it, I would say. Now, if I give a check, you have to move. Maybe I have a checkmate here, but I'm not sure. Check forcing you to take. I don't know. Maybe bring the king up so I can give this check. Yeah, so I think first of all, I will have a checkmating attack because this looks already like mate. Maybe you have to make this pawn break to make an escape. That's valid, I think. And then, I mean, I can just start pushing my passed pawn, and yeah, this passed pawn will be just rolling. After take, I could even take with the bishop, threaten a trade. You will probably have to push this pawn to stop me. I can again just activate the bishop, and you can try to stop my advancement, but you really can't, basically. And I'm up a piece and 2 pawns. This pawn will march, and that is how you convert this position. I hope that was very valuable. I think I accidentally misclicked and I don't have my analysis anymore, which is very annoying. Oh, do I have an analysis? Oh, chess.com really. Shout out to chess.com. Thank you. I misclicked on the previous video and now I still have my analysis. So 96% accuracy, and that's all because I know my opening and I know what to do. Not because I memorized everything, but I memorized most of it and I understand my opening because of a lot of sample lines which are all in my course. So after the exchange variation, he puts the bishop out. I know that this is the best move. Probably also what I recommend in my course, but I'm not sure because I don't actually memorize 100% of my course. After this, that's the best move. This is a fine move. I could also move the knight with an attack. You have to move back. Now, the engine wants to go for this, which is very instructive. And what if you trade knights? I attack the bishop. If takes, I can take and both pieces are hanging, so you cannot do that. So you have to move, then I can jump back my knight, and I control a lot of your weak squares, and I control a lot of pawn advancement, and I think the engine wants to pawn storm you. You have to go here to defend. I can jump in again, and I will just win the bishop. I don't even take it. I first make a threat on your king. It's not really a threat, though. After this, do I... Oh, I move my queen like that. You do this so that the pawn is undefended. I castle out of it. The bishop is still quite um, messed up. Now you make an escape square and defend. But we don't care. We defend this pawn. He wants to do this. And now we control everything and start a pawn storm. The bishop has to go all the way back, which is quite depressing. And we just make this pawn storm happen. This is difficult. I cannot lie, I have almost never seen plans like this before in this opening. I know that they exist and I saw them a couple of times, but usually with a a5 pawn break, which is probably why our opponent has to line up both rooks to control the pawn break. Now, I would try to exploit this weakness, which is very difficult because you control all 4 of the key squares to jump a knight in. That's already a mistake. Okay, so what do we do? Yeah, what do we do? We cannot sack. It's defended by knights. Can we move the queen? No. This is always a mistake. So can we... Oh, that's actually the best move. And if you take... And if knight takes... Bishop takes, and if you take, this is undefended. Oh. Then you have to move. We can... I don't know, what can we do? Jump a knight in. Oh, and we're threatening mate in 1. Disgusting. So you have to defend this. And then we have to find this weird pawn break. What does that do? Oh, you're threatening to take this pawn with a check. So we move the pawn so that you cannot take this with a check. You have to take it with the pawn because it's defended by the knight. And now we sack the pawn just to shut the d-file. That's disgusting. And now we sack a knight. And if you take, we can take this... Oh, we can just take the bishop. You give a check. We move the king to a safe square. You can take a rook. We take with a knight, and now you see why we sack this pawn. We shut the d file and we shut this diagonal. You have to ask for a queen trade, and after take... Oh, take with the knight, obviously, yeah. Then we can improve our knight, and this is still equal because we have a protected passed pawn, but he has this passed pawn. That's very disgusting, and we are not winning in that sequence somehow. Yeah, but I mean, disgusting. So, yeah, I should have jumped in. You move, and I can even do something like this, and I just control a lot of nice squares. Apparently, in this position, it's quite bad. And a lot of variations, we also play bishop to d6, and after take, take with the knight. Yeah, now we control a lot of weak squares. And this knight defends the king very, very well. And after you do whatever this is, we can just castle, launch this attack. Yeah, I would just launch the attack. You have to stop it. We can just hammer down. And after the knight jumps in, we can land our attack. And after something like take, take, probably take, take. And now you can jump in the knight with an attack. Fair enough. And that's why we have to move the queen first. But let's say you just take and take. We will see that now because of this damaged structure, taking is a mistake. That's instructive. We just pressure this more. Damn, and after you attack our knight, so that takes is met with takes and takes is met with takes, we just make this little luft first so that the knight cannot jump in. It's the best move, but if you play it, it's an inaccuracy. Yeah, valid. Thank you, chess.com. We can take like this, though. No. I don't see why this is bad, I cannot lie. Now this is a threat, right? Let's say we just jump in the knight. Is this not a threat? No, because he can form a checkmating attack, and that's it. So on the previous move, you first have to kick the knight. Now you wasted the move, and with that move, is this not a threat? You can pin the knight to the queen, and our queen is not defended. Oh, that's sad. Okay, fair enough. So we have to put the queen on a better square first, but our attack will land, and that's the most important thing. Engine says takes and takes, and then push this pawn. But I mean, this is still a weakness, and this is still a weakness. To be fair, this pawn is also a weakness. So yeah, probably I would jump in the knight with some pressure, but your knight jumping in is more valuable apparently. Now you can kick our knight. That's why it's so good. And now this is not a threat, and this knight will live there forever. Yeah, so you still have to be very careful from a lot of positional mistakes. So I did miss that, sadly enough. I unpinned, I castled, I started my attack, I activated my rook, which is all very easy and positional play if you know your opening well. So shout out to my course. I kick the bishop, and now I go for my attack. Probably this was a bit better, the engine says, but after take back, and yeah, this will land you with this weakness, and if you don't do that, we will push, and that will land you with another weakness. So let's say you just make this random move that doesn't really make too much sense. We can go for this attack. Pushing is your best move, but after take and take, can we not take? Does this not work? Oh, because you can take and take first, and now this is not attacked anymore. Okay, so can we take, and then take? No, because we got forked. Okay, so we have to stop the fork first, which is quite depressing. Otherwise, we just have takes. That was a free pawn, and your knight is hanging, but you can move the knight with a fork, which is disgusting. After this, we can take with a check first. And to be fair, we give up a rook, but we will get a lot of king activity for it. The problem is that after take, we have to take the knight, so we can't really exploit this, and we will go down the exchange for a pawn and a bit of king safety. So it's not the end of the world, but there are so few pieces that the king safety isn't even that important anymore. So that would be one big mistake as well, which is very nice, I saw. Yeah, so letting the knight jump in was quite messy out of me. That's probably why this is not the best of moves, because he can just jump in the knight. So I probably should have done something that the knight cannot jump in, start this attack without this knight so that the knight still controls e5, which is very, very important, and just improve my position like that. So this was a bit bad. I jump back, push my minority attack, and this is just an inaccuracy. I find the great move, and now after this take and take, you can see this tactic, but you always have to look for counterplay. He can take this with a check, give this check, and then take this pawn either way. And now he has so much activity. In what world is that a brilliant move? Huh? Oh, the knight's hanging. That's why. Okay. What if I take? Oh, this is unstoppable, and my bishop cannot defend now. So if I take, I lose control over e7, and that's too strong, and I have to do this. Then you can align this up, and now I have absolutely nothing. You will just move the knight with a detrimental check. Let's say I retreat, you have double check, I move. Why would you repeat? Engine is just repeating casually, yeah, of course. Repeating casually, I will take a draw, yeah, fair enough. Oh yeah, just repeat, yeah. Engine, you are a genius. And then we just repeat. Great move. And then we do something useful. Sick. So now we gotta go back, probably check. Yeah, and I have to sack my queen. Otherwise, this is made because the queen and the knight check. So I have to sack the queen, and still I am in a horrific position. Yeah, that is disgusting. So very good that I saw that. This is an inaccuracy though. So I saw that this was a bit tunnel visiony. And I saw that after queen to f8, he can just play his knight here. Now the tactic is gone. And why is my queen here? The engine argues that the... And after the knight moves, I can counterattack the queen so that take a stake, you have to save your knight. Then I can win a pawn. Oh, you can take with an attack on the knight. I didn't see that, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. So I don't know why I would move my queen here. I think that's way too hope chess. You're just hoping that he blunders this still. And after you move, I mean, now it doesn't. Oh, it does work because we attack the rook. So you have to move, and now both pieces are hanging. So we have to take, take. Now we can take defending this. We only won a pawn, but our plan is very easy. And now we just move the queen again. So I really don't know why the engine wants our queen on f8 that much. It's quite a hope chess move in my opinion. So this is apparently a inaccuracy, but it only blunders 05, but I mean sure. But this is just a blunder. He moves out a knight of the center, and this knight has some crucial pressure. And the pressure of the knight tactically defended bishop to g4 because he would launch a counterattack. But now that he undid the pressure, g4 is not tactically defended anymore. I just have this. You have to move, and after take, you can go for a counterplay. Asking for a queen trade is the best move, and after this, I can take, move the bishop to a safe square, and after take and take, we are completely winning. I would really want to play this out against the engine, so let me set that up. So in this video, you learn the importance of a opening, how to fight from a drawn position, the plans of a very standard exchange Caro-Kann. I hope that was worth your subscription and you are now subscribed to learnchess. The engine wants to do this. I told you that I will probably go here just to block the pawns. The engine wants to move here. I did say that I would do this. He wants to improve. I would make this pawn break. And after take, I would take with the bishop. He can attack the knight, but I can just move in, which I showed you. The engine wants to trade and do this. I would probably take and attack the pawn. After you defend the pawn, I can attack the pawn again. He just wants to give away the pawn, which I think I will happily take, but this is quite... I think I would play this so that I can do this tactic that you cannot take because of take. He wants to move the king, and I would just launch this. After he defends the pawn, I move this back. He moves the king, I give a check, you move, and I attack the pawn. Engine wants to just give away the pawn, which I would take with a rook. Oh no, because he has counterplay then. Yeah, I would take with a bishop. And after this, what would I do? I think I would do something like this so I can start moving my passed pawn. After this attack, I would ask for a queen trade. Engine takes the queen trade and moves the king. I would make a force field. King moves. I think I would just bring my king. Engine wants to move. I bring the king. Engine wants to move. I bring the king. Engine wants to move the king. I bring the king. You do this. I do that. You do this. And I would probably move in. You go here. And now I have this red carpet. And I would just move the pawn, promote the pawn, sack my bishop. I don't care. And go for a checkmate with this. After move the king closer. After move, I would probably give a check, do this, go here. After take and take, he doesn't have any counterplay. I would probably take, he has to move, I do this, and I will give mate on the next move. And that's how I would win this against the engine. I hope that was very instructive and worth your subscription. Subscribe if it was, if it wasn't. Give me some feedback in the comments. Other than that, I will see you in the next one.